All right. So I had a friend online, Goss, uh, who shared he's a full-time coach in England, and he saw something I posted about the channel, just, how I was making stuff just for Dan and Vi to look at, and I said, while I think I'm pretty comfortable with basketball, I don't feel too comfortable. Well, I wouldn't say that, I guess, but I'm not an expert, not formally trained in soccer, whereas I have some of that, for sure in basketball. So he watched one of the videos, the one I guess I have in regards to the suggestions for the Dynamo team. And he just kind of gave a response. He watched part of it, and this is his response to that. And giving really his kind of fundamentals of what you need to be able to do as a team, and the things to work on as a team and as individuals in order to achieve that. And even just down to the basics of the game, which is pretty cool too. Some just basic technique stuff about kicking the ball and what to practice. Really kind of helpful, practical stuff, and really explained really well. So anyway, I just thought I would share his words directly. So I don't know that I'll read through all of this, although maybe let's go ahead and just give it a shot. I've watched the first part of the video one, and possession based is the best way to play, and it all starts from a mentality. You have to be calm and comfortable. It's important for the coaches to relay that it doesn't matter about mistakes, etc. The players will then be happy to play. Yes, I love this. It's so great. Because at the heart, of even the music I make, it's really about having this attitude of play. And that's, I think, in a way, probably my biggest expertise when it comes to sports is really about the attitude that you have. And when we're in this playful space, we're not afraid to make mistakes. And the other part is, not only are we not afraid, to try challenging things as an individual, but we also love to play as a team, right? When you're really in a playful space, you're playing the game, and the game is, essentially to try to score and win. And the best way to do that is to play as one entity, right? And the great part is that most technically advanced and strategically, optimal way to play is also the funnest way to play. When you guys, as we'll keep reading here, when you talk about when you hustle for the team and you sprint and into space and you really play and work for each other, what you guys end up doing is really incredible. And it's one of the most fun things that really I think you can experience as a human. Because you're really doing something. You're going to kind of this battle with these people, and you're saying, like, hey, let's come out here and let's play together. Let's have a good time. Let's go do this thing. And I think not only do you do really well as a team and as an individual when you are truly inhabiting this attitude, I also think you become not only a very competitive sports person, but also one who is very respectful of the opponent. Because in this just like playful, no mistakes space, we're just like all out here like having a good time, whether you win or lose, And really, whether you win or lose, if you play beautiful team football or any sport, man, you're going to win. People are going to love you. You're going to have a good time, And if you do it in a respectful way, that's like having a good time, even with the other team, man, it's just incredible. Like the amount of joy that sports, can really bring to people's lives. And it can really be an inspiration for even people that are watching. And that's, what I love about sport that I've experienced. And it's my hope for sport, really, and how it could help even change the world just by the way people play the game, you know. And in this way, like, yes, people get hurt and things like that happen, but you never do something to hurt somebody on purpose. And when you're really in that playful space, you're very present to the moment. You can improvise very quickly. Often some of these plays that happen for people, they just like go and they just almost like lose all sense of the moment and whether or not what they're about to do could potentially hurt themselves or somebody else. So it just, you can really identify that line of doing your best and not hurting anybody, including yourself. You just don't go too far. Because it's always playful. There's never anything that's in it, whether it's, it's like life or death or pressure. So there's no identity in the game, no ego, none of that stuff. Anyway, I didn't mean to go on such a long tangent on that, but I just love that he put that as the first and foremost thing. It's like they're connected, being calm and comfortable and being able to play the way you want to play, right? Doesn't matter if you make mistakes, no pressure. It's just, being happy to play. And that's what it is, man. It's so much fun, and you'd be surprised when you relax and you let yourself, try these things. You can do some incredible things. So anyway, back to the message here. But all that stuff, the attitude, man, most important thing, absolutely. All right, here. First of all, I'll say you need to focus on what you do off the ball, and you need to work incredibly hard to keep making options and move further up the pitch. In 90 minutes, you'll have the ball for a minute and 30 seconds. So the other 88 minutes off the ball are just as important, if not more. Man, what a great point. You as an individual will only have the ball for about a minute and 30 seconds. And so, that other time, you really have to be working. Not only to get that minute and 30 seconds, but to give yourself the best possible options when you do get the ball, and to give your team the best possible options to score whether you receive the ball or not. Like you'll often find, players that make those runs into the channels, from the center to go up and receive the ball, maybe even more towards the sideline. And in some ways, they're taking themselves out of a scoring position. They could still turn and attack at that point, but for the team, you'd be, dragging that defender with you, and oftentimes that player doesn't receive the ball. Like the way you see fullbacks overlap, and they'll sprint hard, and man, a lot of the times they don't get the ball making those runs, and they're coming back from the defense, and they still have to be able to get back to defense. So anyway, that's just the kind of attitude and willingness you have to be able to create these opportunities for goals, which are so hard to come by when you're playing football or soccer. So again, I love, Ashleigh, that you put that as the very next thing, because I found that to be so true, and it just embodies the first part of really having this be, a thing that's about the team. And it really is. It's like this fun artistic battle, where you just like go hard, intelligently, but you give it your best. And you're trying to create, like this ultimate prize of this goal, which, like I said, is so difficult to come by. So you really have to do actually some incredible things in order to make it happen. And that's part of the fun part of this too. So anyway, yes, off the ball stuff, really, really important. Thank you, Ashleigh. Teams that press would be scary to play against, but a good first touch and already knowing the pass you want to make really helps. Absolutely, yes. These are things, I've been telling my niece and nephew. Awareness, first and foremost, is key, right? Already knowing the pass you want to make really helps. So in order to do that, you have to be scanning at all times. At all times, you're reading the field and you're wanting to understand as much as possible. So when that moment comes, when you do receive the ball, you already know what's available and what you need to do in order to do that thing that you want to do. Right? So all of that happens really fast, but it's enabled by your knowledge of what's taking place on the field, especially to your side and behind you. And the more of that you can play, man, that you'll be somebody that breaks the game open, because then you'll be somebody that can potentially make turns or make key passes that are not known to the other people, that can break open the play either for you on the dribble, on the turn, or off like a give and go type of scenario where you're using your teammate to get around your defender. Either way, you're breaking the play open and creating a potential goal scoring move for your team. Yep, and good first touch. The good first touch, exactly what I was telling my niece and nephew. I read this somewhere else, that these top scouts, I think it was maybe the Arsenal All or Nothing thing, but the best scouts, what they look for, kind of simple things, and that first thing he mentioned was the first touch. And it's so true, just even as a player who likes to play still, as I've gotten older, you just realize how difficult and important that first touch really is. And if you can really get that sort of sophistication into your mindset, I think it can be done. I think it's actually something that almost is more of a mental thing than a physical thing. Of course, having like a quick, fast twitch muscles to be able to react quickly and things like that, of course, are important. But I think it's a matter of really having that balance, like Ashley talks about later, developing that balance with those foots to be able to remain strong on one foot. That definitely helps. But it's having also the presence, to see it, and then to be very intentful, full of, intention with how you're receiving the ball, both in terms of like the movement of your leg or body in order to create the least amount of like resistance upon receiving the ball, as well as the angle, of those things. Not only to just be able to receive it close to you, but to receive it in the exact place that makes it optimal for your next move, which might depend upon a defender that you might have to shield. So anyway, the first touch is so critical because you got to be able to get it into the space, even if you just keep it on the ground. Like if you're a fullback coming back, getting the ball from the center back or from the goalkeeper, you want to be able to touch that, essentially opening up so your second touch or pass would be square up the line, unless there's a defense, that's really pressing you hard and you can't do that. But ideally, you're able to open up like that, because if you can, you should be able to get a ball up the line to the winger, the midfielder that's there. That's probably going to be the safest pass up the line. Anyway, maybe not, you still have the center mid in the middle, you still have the center back and the goalkeeper going back, but going up the field between the center mid and going up the line or going straight to the striker, I would imagine that the one going up the line is typically going to be the easiest of those options, as teams are generally trying to keep the ball out of the middle of the field, because that's where you can really break something open, going potentially in either direction and also defeating a level of the defense. Anyway, sorry, bit of a tangent there. I'm gonna pause here and go on to a new video.